Hi there and welcome back to the channel. My name is Niall, and in today's video I'm going to be running through basic setups with GoHighLevel. So like how to get a client on board, how to set up your Google Calendar, how to do your email domains, phone numbers, import snapshots, all of the juicy stuff, right? So we're going to jump straight into this and hopefully you can follow along. If you do have any questions, feel free to leave something in the comment section below. I'll try and get back to you. So last video, we covered all the features on high level. In this video, I'm just going to give you kind of more like a follow on to that entry level kind of setup process, right? So we're right here looking at the agency level of the account. So we're actually going to go ahead and create a new sub account, right? So we're going to hit add manually, and we're just going to go ahead and fill all of this in. So we can just give it any old information at this point. But obviously this is going to be specific and tailored to your company. Let's do Niles Lose because we're selling toilets. Toiletry store, sure. We'll just do any old number. And then we'll do any old address, right? So Adelaide House. And then we'll just do dot just for the sake of the video, just fill it all through just with just some information. And then we're going to do London timing. Cool. So that's just quickly how to set up a sub account, right? So this information will pull into the business profile that we covered in the last video. I'll just jump into that as well. But what I want to say here, right, is have all of this information as accurate as possible. So something that we do, and I'll just show you whilst it's here, we send out an onboarding form, right? So whenever we onboard a new client, cash is collected, deal's gone through, we're ready to proceed. We need to get the information from the customer and start filling out the CRMs and getting the Facebook ready. So the best way for me to do that is just to quickly just dash this straight into a Google form. So yeah, we just have a look through this. So we've got full name, number, customer number, legal business name, logo, business registration number, registered address, emails, website, and then we've got some specific answers about their actual niche and industry, right? So I would recommend doing something similar. What I do is I just go straight to responses, click individual, Control A, copy. Then I bang it into ChatGPT, just built out like a form compressor. So then it just gives you all the information just one by one, right? Nice and straightforward, nice and simple. I would recommend doing that ASAP. Just get that ready. So we're going to add a sub account. We're going to create a new sub account. The niche is obviously Niles Lose. We're selling toiletries, apparently. So it's all going to be nice and easy like that, right? So we're finally on the sub account. The first thing that I'm going to run through with you is how to invite your client on to GoHighLevel, right? So that's really important. You're obviously setting this up for your client, for their business. You want them to have access. You want them to receive notifications and things like that, right? So the first thing we're going to do is just come down here at the bottom left of your screen. It will say settings just behind my camera. It will say the word settings. And then you're going to click My Staff, okay? So My Staff comes into here. You're going to click Add User. Let's just call my user Steve Jobs, sure. And then we'll give him a email address, media, and then we can leave the phone free for now because that doesn't really matter. So then you've obviously got admin roles and permissions. Okay, so this is another thing that I'll touch on right now because it's relevant. So just be careful when you're adding people into your CRM. The reason is basically admin and user settings. Admin will turn off certain things like user settings will only allow you to moderate like things like conversations, contacts, things like that, make outbound calls, texts. Admin will have full access to everything, right? So they'll have access to the automations, the calendar follow-ups, how the custom values, fields, websites, all of that stuff, right? So depending on your client, depending on the relationship on your client, you might want to restrict how much they can actually access. And a good thing about this is that you will then have these toggle switches, so you can go through and be like, okay, I want to give him admin access. However, I don't want him to have access to the AI agents, for example, right? So then we can click save. What's going to happen there is hopefully we're going to get an email to this Google account. Cool. So this is what the email will look like when your client receives the email from you guys, right? So it's obviously going to say, welcome to X, whatever you name your CRM, for example. We've got Double J Media, but it will just have an introduction to who they are, what their account is, and etc. Right? So click the login. What that will do is then just bring them straight to kind of like a dashboard where they can create a new password and stuff like that. Cool. Bingo. They're going to be signed in. Everything's going to be ready to rock and roll from there. What we're going to next do, right, is we're going to take out the information that they've provided in the form, and the form then needs to be submitted into the business profile. So we're still within the settings, and then I just want to make sure that we're going through, we are matching the street address, we're matching the states, the zip codes, the emails, the phones, the domains, things like this. Again, authorized representative is the best one to do. So like for this, for me, I would just always do yourself, right? So always do yourself because you're going to be the person that is managing the accounts. So authorized representative, always do yourself. Business information, again, if they give you that information, fill that in because there'll be another video that I'll do that will cover like A2P registration, phones and stuff like that. And then that will touch into this because it will just pull the information from here. So yeah, super important that you get all of this filled in. I've given you some tips here about how to do it. This is kind of the best way to gain all that information and just upload it real quick. So yeah, super straightforward. Next two things I'm going to cover is just how to buy a phone number, but I'll go into the verification in another video. I do also have a video created that you can watch now that will just tell you how to do A2P in the States, but there will be one for the UK as well, right? Cool. So you're going to go settings again, into phone system, and you're going to click up here and then add number and then add a phone number. Okay, so let's just say we want to do it in the States. And then you can pick any of these numbers, obviously try and match it up to their call code. So that is like why we ask stuff like this. So personal number, and then phone numbers for customers to call. For example, some of our clients might have an out-of-state phone number, whether they've moved house or whatever it may be, but their actual business line will be an in-state code number, right? So then it's important that on the CRM, you match the two. Because if you're doing any outbound calls on your client's behalf, you want it to be from a service area that the customers are going to recognize, right? So make sure these match up. That is as simple as it is. So when you purchase things, it will be there. It will be nice and easy for you to go through. You'll then actually be able to edit the configuration. Let me just show you on this account. So we'll go to here. So phone here, for example, we're going to have multiple phone numbers right here. So we've obviously got different forwarding, okay, set up. So the way that you do this is you just go into these three dots on the right, edit configuration, and then we're going to set up the call forwarding, right? So then just give them an external number to call, and you can also select the person on the app as well. Another thing is I would turn off Call Connect, okay? So Call Connect basically will dial your client's phone, ask them, it will say you have a new lead, press any key to connect, and you would then have to press some sort of key, whether it's a number, hash, whatever, to then receive the phone call, okay? I've had some instances where the call disconnects. I've also had some instances where people don't hang on to the phone long enough for it to go through. So I always turn this off, okay? So that's just something that I can advise going forward. Just turn that off. So that's how to buy a phone number. What I'm going to show you now is just actually how to do the emails as well. So emails is really important. So you can set up emails through the business profile. But what I'm going to show you now is how to increase deliverability through GoHighLevel. So again, what you need to do is go into the settings area and then one above phone system, it will be email services. So you click that one. And what you want to do here is just go to SMTP service up the left, and you want to click on this dedicated domain and IP. Okay, click that. So this is obviously something that we've got set up already. Excuse my high level, it always messes me around. But this is one we've obviously got sent out. So we've sent out 15 emails today. I know it's very small, but these are only for appointment reminders and stuff like that. So the way that you would do this is you'd click add domain at the top. Your domain name. So for example, our company is obviously Alliance XP. So I would do something like offers.alliance, alliancexp.co.uk. right? So like that's the main domain. And then this is our new email subdomain. So offers dot is going to be our subdomain. That could be something like success or help or information or info or anything like that, right? So go ahead and click add and verify. What's going to come up now is it's going to ask you to connect the domain, which is perfect. So it's going to give you a set of DNS records, right? MX records, TXT records, stuff like that. So you're going to need to put these onto your domain settings. So whether you're using GoDaddy, Porkbun, Namecheap, anything like that, just load up your domain settings and then set these up accordingly. One thing that I would say at this point is if you're running a domain and it already has an email system built out, so for example, if you're using a dedicated email domain to send out emails, just from a Gmail account or domain, something that I would recommend here is just buying an alternative domain name, which is similar to yours. So then you can just set that up with no quarrels. Like for example, here you can see that is our original domain. Sorry, so alliancexp.co.uk. But then what I've got here is because we're advertising in the States. I've gone for success.alliance -xp.com, right? So there's a small change there. That's obviously the one that we've just done as an example, and then we've gone ahead and changed it throughout, right? So cool, nice and easy. If you do have any problems with that, just send me a text, leave me a message in the comment section. I'll try and give you some assistance with that. But if you follow that through, I would recommend buying a new domain. And then just add in those TXT, MX records and stuff like that, link them. And then what you need to do to actually make sure that you're sending from the correct email address is when you go into automations, so you can actually change where the automation is being sent from, right? So email automations here, let's say new email chain comes through. We're going to go into settings. No, we're not. We're going to go into down here. And then it's going to be from here, right? So that's where your email is going to be from. So it's going to have the email tag that we've just set up. So that's from the domain, right? So that's no longer sending from the one that we've set up on the business profile, but now that's sending from the subdomain that we've just created. That should increase deliverability, right? So that's massive. That's something that I would get into sorting out ASAP. So two more things to cover in regards to clients, and then I'm going to show you one last thing about snapshots and how to maximize your efficiency when setting up new clients. Okay, so what I'm going to show you now is just how to link a calendar. So in the previous video, we obviously went into calendars. We set up a new calendar, so we can do that here again. Just click calendars, then calendar settings, create a new calendar, whatever it may be. So you can just go in and make a new calendar depending on your personal type, round robin, whether their availability restricted, however it may be, right? But the most important thing here is if you're using stuff like Calendly or anything like that, you can mimic or create a calendar that will look very similar. So let me see if I can try and get a cool. So this is what the calendar will look like on a customer's side, right? So I just want to show you just for the purpose of this. Cool. Cool. So it looks very similar to Calendly, right? So I would always say that it's best that you just come in, basically mimic what they have already, use the GoHighLevel one, right? Because what that is going to allow you to do is then tie in automation. So when things are booked in, you can then use the trigger as like appointment status with X calendar. Appointment is confirmed, right? And that will be a trigger point for an automation. But what I'm trying to get over here now is how to sync up your client's calendar. So what happens is when a calendar meeting is booked on that high level calendar, it will block off their Google Calendar, right? So as you can see, I've got my email to sync synced up here with a calendar connection, right? The way that you do that is you literally just come onto settings, my profile, and you're going to scroll halfway down until you see the word calendar settings, and you're going to click add new. And then that should allow you to add a Google Calendar right here. And then if it doesn't, it should do, but it should automatically connect to Google Meets. If it doesn't, then there is an option right there to do so. Again, right? So this is another thing. If your customer or your client isn't using Google Meet and they're using things like Zoom and Teams, get them to connect them here, because then what you can do is when you go back to the calendar, and then we can go into, I just want to show you the difference there, because basically if you have a guy that comes in and you're telling him, okay, we can help you do Zoom meetings, for example, but you set everything up as a Google Meet, he's not going to be happy. So this is obviously one where we're using Google Meet. We've set up Google Meet and we've got synced calendars. Okay, so then when you come into edit your calendar under meeting details at the top here, scroll right down to the bottom. You can select your team members. So we've got these 2 team members available. These are their priority statuses, and where is the location taking place? It's taking place either on Google Meet or nowhere, right? So then for your clients or whoever it may be, you can change that to Microsoft Teams, Zoom, phone, whatever, right? Cool. Okay, last thing that I'm going to show you is how to do the integrations. So on the client side, so like when your client is navigating through GoHighLevel, it's really important that you get him to do certain integrations. So I covered in the other video where you can do everything on the Launchpad, right? So you come into Launchpad, it's going to have different options where you can sign in, etc., right? Another place where you can do that is come down to the settings tab, and then you have them go to integrations down here at the bottom left, which is, I think, behind my camera. But yeah, integrations. Excuse me. And then you're going to have lots of different things here. So Google Calendar, again, can be done there. Sign into Google. That's going to be your Facebook. QuickBooks is another one. Slack is something that I use on a day-to-day basis, and WhatsApp, right? So there is other things here. Notion is another one. There is things that you can get them to sign into, but obviously Calendar, Google, and Facebook are going to be your main 3, just to get things ready and rock and rolling, right? So that is everything in terms of getting your client on board, ready, getting them kind of logged in. Everything is kind of situated to then start, building out certain automations or processes which will have them involved, right? So for example, internal notifications. Now that you've set the client up, when you set up an internal notification, you will have the option to leave a text message to said user, right? So that Steve Jobs, for example, in the example, when we do an internal notification, you'll see that you can actually then select Steve Jobs as a participant and receive the text messages, right? Excellent. So, final tip of the video, I'm going to show you why it's so important to build a template sub account for all your clients. So then you can mimic this and then really set these up as fast as possible. Okay. So like, for example, you've obviously understood that our industry is in the waste management in the States. So what I do is I build out a waste management template, as you can see here. This obviously has no data on it, no conversations, no contacts, stuff like this, right? But it does have things like a calendar built out. It does have a pipeline built out. So opportunities, if you go into opportunities and pipelines, you can see that we've created a pipeline that will just pull through every single time. So like we've got the reactivation campaign and the waste management, right? But the most important thing in here is going to be like automations. Automations are going to be pre-installed. So we have all of those ready to go. So automations, depending on what they are. So we've got meta automations, and then we've also got stuff like client reactivation. So database reactivation, we've got a pipeline change, and then we've also got like a Google review request, right? So super simple, but they're there and they can be duplicated and moved forward every single time. Again, same with sites, right? So we've got like templated websites, templated funnels, templated forms. These are all there, ready to go. So then whenever a new client comes on, I can just upload this template straight away. So Niall, how do I create these snapshots? So I will show you. So basically, like I said, create a new sub account, call it template, build absolutely everything you have onto that template. Then what you'll need to do is go over to the agency view. And then you are needing to go into account snapshots. So account snapshots, and let that load just like so. Cool. So you can see like all the snapshots that we've done. You can see that I've also had like the different variations of the template, right? So when I'm happy with it, I go to myself, okay, cool. This is where the template's standing at as of right now. So October, October the 13th, then it moved to like the 25th of November. I've obviously made another change, 27th of November, and then I've made another change, right? The 2nd of December. So you can see like I've continuously improved it, and that's what I would recommend as well. And another thing is like if you have a client, for example, that was one of your first clients, and then you've got 20 new clients and you've got a new snapshot where it has all updated accounts and landing pages, automations and things like that, you can drag and drop that snapshot back into your old clients' accounts and it will just replace certain things, right? So create new snapshot. Cool. So what you need to do is come over to create new snapshot. You're going to call this test snapshot, and then we're going to choose waste management template, and then we're going to click next, and then this will pull all the assets from that sub account. So here we've got like Google ad campaigns, we've got the stuff like custom fields, so we've got 44 custom fields built out, different things like automations and stuff like that. So go ahead, just create it, make sure that it has everything selected that you want from the snapshot. Cool. So that just shows you how to actually upload and create a snapshot to multiple sub accounts, right? And I would recommend doing that over and over again. I would always improve your templated snapshot account before moving it over to, obviously your clients' live data. But yeah, always improve it, save new snapshots, upload it to new sub accounts and things like that. But yeah, this is obviously just fairly introductory level of setting up new accounts and things like that. So there's a few things that we covered here. So we obviously covered why the admin settings and permissions were important, time zone and stuff like that as well. So when you set up in the business profile, there will be a time zone allocation over here on the right. It's super important that you make sure that that links up to your client's time zone. The reason is, obviously, if we're sending out text messages, automations, calendar bookings, whatever it may be, we want it to be on time. Okay, so you don't want to send out a meeting request for an hour's time when it's actually 2 hours time. So like that has bitten us like before. So just want to make you aware of that problem. So just make sure that you've got that sorted. And then obviously we've covered the base with sub accounts and templated snapshots. So yeah, look forward to speaking to you in the next one.